Lost Trades, and thank you for taking some time to come to the big tent. This is a new event for the participants this year, so we're hoping that you get value from it. And these guys are fantastic, getting me looking like Madonna for the day and working everything out for me. So welcome, chill out for a bit, and watch the amazing demonstration of indigo. Indigo is a really, really old dye, like a really ancient dye in the world. There's about 750 plants worldwide that have got a compound in them called indigotin. That's what you need to get the blue. You need to extract the indigotin. And the plants aren't all the same families. They're all from different genus. But if you look across the world, you look in Japan, they've got a really, really vibrant indigo dyeing practice historically, and also in West Africa and also in South America. If you look really, really closely, it's because the plants that grow in this region have got a really high content of indigotin. So it's worth harvesting, and it's really good to harvest the blue from these plants. We do have a plant in Australia. It's called Indigofera australis, and it's got indigotin content in it, but the content is lower than some of the other cultures in the world. My teacher is a master dyer called Abubakar Fofana, and currently he's doing a project in Victoria where he's planted an indigo plantation, and he's going to harvest it just to see if it is holding up, to see if what we are saying about the indigotin content is really true. He's planted so many plants, though, because it's a specific time of year you harvest, and it's only the very tips of the plant that have the real indigotin in it. So it's quite a process. I don't know if I'm going to be invited to harvest. I hope that I am. I'll hang on in there for the invite. So over to my little friend, the little mini vat I've brought today. I've got a bigger one over in the main area where I'm demonstrating. If you want to see more at 3 o'clock, I'm going to demonstrate again. But this is how indigo works. Now, worldwide, many cultures have a fermented vat, and the vat lives in the corner of their house with them, and they harvest the leaves, and they keep the vat alive, like any fermentation process you would know, sourdough or other fermentation processes. In Victoria, we can't keep a fermented vat alive because our weather goes up and down too much. So this is the second best way to do it. This is a fructose vat. So in this vat, I've got water, indigo powder, Pescaria tinctoria, indigo powder from Japan, so the really strong one, fructose, and lime, hydrated lime, builder's lime. I'll explain what those three things do. The indigo obviously is there to give the color. The hydrated lime is there because indigo operates best in an alkaline environment. So I need to alkalize the water with the lime. And also the fructose is the most important thing. The fructose and the indigo kind of do this weird chemical thing. Now, disclaimer, are there any real chemists in the house before I start? All right. I have checked with a chemist once when I was teaching him at Rare Trades, and he said it's good how I'm presenting it, but it's basic chemistry. So this vat, when I get going, hopefully you can see it's not actually blue, it's a yellowy green color, because the indigo is in a reduced form. It's not blue, it's had all the oxygen pulled off it. That's what the fructose does. The fructose is creating the reduction. Then the magic happens, because when I pull this beautiful white scarf out of the process, all the oxygen starts to adhere to the cloth again, and it turns blue very, very quickly. So I will try to get it in shot for you, but it goes from a crazy yellow-green color to blue very, very quickly. And that's the real alchemy of indigo. Okay, I'm going to start with the whole process. So I've brought along some beautiful white silk scarves. I'm just going to wet the scarf out first, so when I put it in the dye can adhere better. And it's water and a little tiny bit of soda ash. That pH balancer that you put in your swimming pool. I have a jam jar, and I have just the smallest amount in the jam jar dissolved, and then I just have the smallest amount in there. Why? Because, again, the alkaline environment is what we're trying to create, so the indigo works well. A bit like an aperitif, you know, when you're kind of having your big meal, and you have your little aperitif before, so you know your stomach's ready to receive the food. So I'll just pop it in here. Okay, that's the scarf nicely wetted out. Now, when I put the scarf into the dye, I'm going to be massaging it. So I'm going to be working from one end of the scarf to the other in the dye. And I'll be talking to the cloth as I do it. And it'll take me about a minute or two in the dye to create that. I'll just take out the flower before I dye. This is the flower. This is an indication of how healthy the vat is. When I've heated the vat up this morning and stirred it vigorously, it creates a big bloom or flower on the top. And then I know that my vat is very, very healthy. I don't know if you can catch that on camera, but that is the yellowy green color that I'm talking about that's in there. And if I don't get a good flower, I know I need to look at the vat and see what's wrong with her. Maybe I need to give her a little bit of fructose to create more reduction, or maybe the pH level's not right, so I need to add more of that to the vat. Okay. I'm going to put this in as well. This will stop my scarf touching the bottom because that's where the lime is, and I don't want the lime to touch my cloth or it will create patchy. And I'm trying to be as professional as possible in this practice, so I want the lime to stay right at the bottom. Okay. Here we go. Scarf's going in nice and gentle. And I need to keep the scarf under the water. If it bobs out a little bit, then the oxidation process will start. And I'll end up with a patchiness that I don't want. So I'm just working my way along the scarf and massaging. If you've got a question and you're brave enough, yes, my dear.
What do you do with the bloom?
The bloom, I've just put it on the top of the lid of this bucket. And then once I finish working tonight, I'll put the bloom back in again. Because it's got good stuff in there that needs to go back in. It's a bit tricky at this place. I've got to try and keep it cool as well so it doesn't dry out. But yeah, that's a good indicator. And I'm working really, really gently, everyone. No, because I'm trying to not introduce more oxygen into the vat. Yes, my love. Oh, yeah. Whoa. I'm using the powdered fructose, the ones you would buy from a health food store to preserve for this, because I want it to work. At home, I put ripe bananas or peaches in. Yeah, when they've lost their integrity, I'll throw them in. But it's more of a hit and miss variable, and I've brought this vat all the way from Dandenong, and I'm in a strange spot, and and I'm on camera. So, so we got fructose today. Okay, I'm gonna pull it out, and this is where the magic happens, and this is where blink and you'll miss it. So if everyone's ready, here we go. Squeeze it off as close to the top so that you're not dripping more oxygen in. And that's the one. Who said wow? That's the one we want, Ruthie. And so that's very, very fast. That's starting to create a beautiful, beautiful blue. That's just one dip. How do you get darker blues? You go again, you just keep going. So master dyers need to, and I'm not a master dyer, I'm a trainee master dyer. Master dyers in the indigo world need to be able to do 12 shades of indigo. And you need to look at the shades of indigo together and have a complete run where your brain's not going, oh, that's not quite right. Very, very difficult process to achieve. I think I've done 7 once that I was happy with, but yeah, it's the mark of a real master is to be able to do that. Okay, so that's the first dip. What I'm going to do now is take the scarf just in half and do another dip, and then you'll be able to see what 1 dip compared to 2 dips looks like. Again, just massaging. It's about 30 degrees in this vat at the minute, so it's super good temperature for working. You heat the vat up to 60 in the morning, and then stir, and then let it cool down. And it's always a pleasure to work at Lost Trades with vats, because we get weather like this, you know your vat's going to live and be happy for the whole day. Other times it's not stressful, but it can be troublesome, because once the temperature drops to 22, 20, the indigo stops working. And you can't just reheat it. You've got to, reheat, stir, add more fructose, and then leave it to settle again. So it's a real pleasure at Lost Trades to have this weather, and you're like, yay, one less thing to think about. I don't have a cold vat. Okay, coming out again. And squeezing as close to the top of the vat as possible. Oops. Whoopsie. And again, opening it up just to let the oxygen touch. The beauty of these little page silk scarves is that they take the color really quickly, and they dry quickly as well, so you can see, because when you're working with indigo, you're trying to build up the color, but you're working with wet cloth, so you're always wondering, is that quite that color yet? So if I just grab the bottoms, can you guys kind of see? Oh, you can, good. I can see it because I'm right up here. But that's the process to keep building and building. This is called ombre. This is actually a thing, you can build it so that it's a beautiful deep blue right up to whites, like a seascape. And after 3 dips, that's when you want to put your cloth in some water, because pearled indigo, it gets a bad name sometimes. I don't know if you've ever heard, but people go off and buy pieces of indigo and bring them back from overseas, and it's like, oh, it ran, it's leaked all over me. It's not that the dye is running and leaking on you. It's more that the people that have done the process haven't rinsed the cloth enough. Because let's face it, guys, that's not the magic bit, is it? Rinsing and rinsing and rinsing and rinsing and rinsing until it turns clear. So they haven't rinsed it properly, and there's microscopic bits of indigo still sitting on the cloth. So if you tie the scarf around your neck and end up with a blue neck, it's not that the dye isn't fixed. Indigo's fixed when it's oxidized. It's that the practitioners haven't done the rather laborious task of rinsing. Okay. Obviously, that's a very quick rinse. That's not, I would do a lot longer if I was about to sell this scarf. But that is the indigo process.
Does it get bluer after rinsing, Jude?
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Question on the left here. Yes?
Does it get bluer after rinsing?
Does it get bluer after rinsing? The water gets bluer. It's because it's wet. once it needs to dry out, it'll go lighter. Yeah. Is anybody? Yes, my dear. If you've got something that's got indigo and it's leaking, should you keep rinsing it? Well, you could try that, but not knowing the provenance of where it's being used, how it's been dyed. Has it been dyed with natural dyes? Has it been dyed with chemical dyes and called indigo? But yes, a very good first step is to just keep rinsing and rinsing. And you could be quite surprised at the amount of blue that does come out. But it won't lighten the color. It's just cleaning. It's just cleaning the cloth. Perfect question from the youngster. How do I get my hands clean? How long does the dye stay on my hands? I get my hands clean. It just wears off. So over the whole weekend, my hands will get bluer and bluer and bluer. And then it'll just... I have to go home to a normal life, guys. I don't get to do this fun stuff all the time. So when I am doing the washing up and the cleaning, of course, all the blue's going to come off my hands. But my nails will stay quite blue. So if you ever see anybody and they've got that, it's just a weird trace of blue on their fingernails, they're an indigo dyer. Because it never really goes away totally. Indigo is very, very happy in water. So if I was doing that practice and I was building up the layers and then I got a phone call and needed to attend to something, or I would throw my piece I'm working on in some water. And then it'll just sort of swim around and go, yay! What I've noticed when I forget to do that, it's like cakiness. Is that a word? Cakey sort of feel on the top. And yes, you can rinse it off, and yes, but I just always feel that there's a bit of a compromise there. So I think best practice is to, if you are in that situation, to put it. And if I'm doing a whole run of things, I'll start with one skein of wool, say, and I'll work through, and then I'll go back to that one. But I'll do the whole run, and then I'll try to get them all rinsed off so that doesn't... If it's not oxidized properly as well, it will turn a funny greeny brown color. You've got to be careful with that. But generally, big bucket, massive bucket of water is your friend when you're an indigo dyer. Yes?
You said it didn't oxidize properly. What will stop it from oxidizing?
If it's all squished up like that, and you've got a kind of whole build-up of indigo dye in there and you haven't quite dealt with it. I mean, I'm holding this because I'm desperate for this all to be stretched out and on a nice line at the minute. Yeah? You've got to really look at it well and look after your cloth well. Great question. Does indigo dye anything? Natural dyes. Should have said that at the beginning. I'm happy you asked that. Natural dyes are natural fibers, are the thing that indigo. So silk and wool, linen and cotton, ramie, banana fabrics, anything that's from a natural source. Best friends. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate you all coming here. It's really good. Thank you.